Week 5, most likely upsets. What do you guys have penciled in?
Cry me a river.
Typically, the upsets you think are going to happen don't happen. It's like the NCAA tournament, right? Mm-hmm. They always talk about, hey, man, this
5-12.
This 10-5.
5-12.
This 10-5.
This 5-12 definitely is going to hit. And then all of a sudden, it's like the 13-4. That's like Norfolk State slips up and beats somebody. But there's one I'm looking at, and I'm going back and forth on it because the problem is when everybody's picking the same upset, the favorite in that game, like Clemson, Syracuse, the one I'm going to talk about, Clemson is hearing all this. Mm-hmm. Clemson is hearing, hey, man, y'all can get upset this week about Syracuse. Syracuse always plays y'all great, right? And Clemson is in the dream crusher spot, right? Your dreams have been crushed. You're out of the race for the Natty. You're 2-loss Terry right now. You're probably out of the race for the ACC. So how are you going to get up the next week going on the road in the Carrier Dome? That's right. I called it the Carrier Dome. I'm not calling it the new name because it's a Carrier Dome. All right? But they're hearing this. They don't want to. You never want to lose. Even though your dreams are crushed, you don't want to go lose, and you've got to go out there and pay the physical price for playing bad. But, man, they're beat up after that Florida State game. Syracuse has all the momentum. The Carrier Dome is going to be rocking. Schrader for saying, and I know Gasson's hurt, but they got that Tree and Alfred on the outside, right? He's not the one answering the door at the Wayne Manor, okay? He's out there making plays on the jump ball. I don't want to go as far yet to say that I think Clemson is going to lose. But if I had to pick one of these upsets, that's not like a team that's plus 2.5 or like within a field goal game, I'm taking Syracuse. Because I think Schrader, if you remember last year, and it's a different circumstance, I always say this, but he was able to run the ball really successfully, and in the second half, they kind of went away from it.
It's always close.
Because he was beat up. This game's always close. I just feel like he may hammerhead his way through this thing, and Syracuse can get enough stops. Cade Klubnik played a really good game against Florida State. Can Cade Klubnik stack two really good games on each other? Mm-hmm. And can Clemson's skill position players get separation on the outside against the Syracuse defense? If I had to pick one man, that's Syracuse. And the spidey senses are tingling. I'm Toby Maguire in hard right now.
What about Florida on the road at Kentucky? This is plus 1.5 Florida right now, plus 100 on the money line. They're only lost to Utah right now. Obviously, they had the big win over Tennessee, but that was in the swamp. Kentucky is 4-0. But they go on the road to Georgia after they play Florida this week. That could be on their minds, too. How do you guys see this one?
I could see this happening easily. I don't think that Kentucky's that great of a football team. I don't think Devin Leary looks the same as he did in the past. And I think Florida right now is trending up. And I think Florida, shout out to Billy Napier, the way they're looking. I think Graham Mertz is looking well. I think Pearsall's an absolute problem at receiver. They got two of them.
That catch he made last week
is disgusting. One of the best catches I've ever seen in my life.
They should do like this. We get John.
But yeah, I could see that. I could see Florida controlling the line of scrimmage.
Well, and I ran across something the other day, and fact check me if I'm wrong on this, people, but I believe Kentucky is number 1 in the country in explosive plays.
That's so surprising.
But that doesn't mean their offensive ranks aren't great for Kentucky. That just means that they've hit the most plays over 50 yards, right? Which, again,
thanks, Vandy.
Yeah, but Florida, I believe, is like close to last in the country in giving up explosive plays. So it's funny. Some people are like, well, this Liam Cohen offense, it really doesn't remind me that much of what, is a Sean McVay protege. Kentucky's operating like 30% play action. That's straight out of the Sean McVay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Motions, play actions, things like that. I'm leaning Kentucky in this game because I do think they're confident, and I love Ray Davis. I love the running back they got, the transfer from Vanderbilt. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the SEC. The Kentucky offensive line isn't great, but I think Florida's a lot different team on the road than they are at home. And I think this Mark Stoops defense, while Graham Mertz has been playing above board, I think he can stifle the run and kind of turn this a little bit into the Utah game. They can try and take Pearsall away. I know Florida's got a couple more weapons, little ETN, things like that, guys like that. But I'm leaning Kentucky so far in this game. I am.
I got you. I got one here that's a little steeper. All right. Houston versus Texas Tech. All right.
What's that line right now?
It's at 8.5. Houston's looking at a plus 255. You got to think right now, Texas Tech's not the team we thought they were.
Quarterback's out for 8 weeks.
Quarterback's gone. Show's gone. Houston, if they can do anything, they can score points. Donovan Smith at quarterback. He's a 2-threat guy. He can run it. He can throw it. You know, that offense always has a good system. Texas Tech defense is not great. They're already kind of let down early. I feel like Houston, they might be 2-2 and 0-1 in conference, but I think they're going to get up to play this game. You're almost averaging 400 yards per game. I can see an upset here, at least going closer to the fourth quarter in this game.
Yeah, I don't think that's good. I love the under in this game. It's at 50.5, I believe. But there's another caveat, too, that could kind of bolster your point. Now, I don't think this is going to happen, that there's going to be an upset, but there is a caveat. Starting quarterback at Houston, Donovan Smith, transferred from Texas Tech. So you have that revenge factor, right? We saw the way Tyler Shough played against Oregon for Texas Tech early in the year. I know you had that turnover late that was kind of tough, and I hate that Shoug's out. But I don't think that's crazy. I love the under in that game, though. Absolutely. Houston having a ton of trouble scoring.
Yeah, they are.
It's not beautiful. I'll give you another one, and we talked about South Carolina at the beginning. South Carolina, 12.5-point underdog going on the road to Tennessee. Now, Tennessee, the front seven defensively, at least against Florida, did not look like I thought Tennessee was going to look. But you're not facing Florida this week. Not that Florida has the best offensive line. You're not going to the swamp. You got a South Carolina team that has a very questionable offensive line and a struggling defense. And I think Tennessee, while they haven't been great running the ball this year, that offense is predicated off running the ball to pass. Do not get it confused, just like with Lane Kiffin, just like with Lincoln Riley, just like with Jeff Lebby. Josh Heupel wants to run. I see South Carolina being able to score some points. I think that the biggest matchup in this game is not Tennessee's offense against South Carolina's defense. I think Tennessee is going to score. I think it's South Carolina's offense versus Tennessee's defense.
Yeah.
Because if they make them one-dimensional, and do not forget, there's the revenge factor here a little bit for Tennessee, who took out Hendon Hooker last year. South Carolina did. And, you know, Josh Heupel came out and said, we're not really thinking about that this much. It's something the fans think about. Man, hell no. And Josh is right to say that in the press conference. But you guys know as well as I do. You've been in those locker rooms.
Oh, yeah.
You took out
that was a tough
the
loss.
guy last year. The guy. And Hendon Hooker is beloved by his teammates. There's blood in the water this weekend in Knoxville. Mm-hmm. And the Sharks are swimming. And Spencer, we talked about, he's going to have to play. And they know Leggette's the guy. Like, this no secret anymore that Leggette's the dude. I mean, he just ripped Mississippi State, just ripped their guts out last week. So Tennessee's going to try and stop Leggette and play a game of, who else do you have that can beat me? Okay, Trey Knox at tight end. Good luck, bud. Juice Wells is out this game. I don't see it. I like Tennessee in this. The 12.5's a lot of points, but Vegas knows something.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Oh, yeah, it always comes back to this question: how much do you trust Joe Milton?
Yeah,
that's what it comes.
But if you're running the ball, good enough, and again, like Joe Milton has not been bad. No. I don't think he's been bad, but Joe Milton is not this. You had people saying before the year, Joe Milton, offensive player of the year, superstar, this, that, and the other, and you get enamored, right? It's like on Hall Pass. When they're at the bar and they're like, oh my God, that girl over there looks so good. And he's like, put your hands up like this and really see. Oh, maybe just because you hit a golf cart from 90 yards away at Manning Passing Academy doesn't mean you're going to be the greatest quarterback in the history of the world, because it's a lot different when you're playing in a game.
It's easy to get taken in when you see a guy run an 85-yard touchdown run and then throw the ball 80 yards in the air. There's more to playing quarterback than
remember Jamarcus Russell could throw it really far too.
On his knee.
Yeah.
I like points in this game. A couple more upsets that I'm looking at, though. Arkansas is plus 200 playing Texas A&M.
Dude.
That game's neutral site. You know how Arkansas people feel about anything from the state of Texas. Like we talked about, Texas A&M doesn't have Connor Wegman. You're going to be starting Max Johnson. Arkansas gave LSU everything they could handle on the road. Plus 200, I like that bet.
Look, you got to stay fresh, right? If you want to add fresh layers to your fall style, we know the seasons are changing. All right, so there may be a little wardrobe update for you. Our friends over at Indochino, they got you covered like a warm blanket in the wintertime. All right? Dressing for success, it can help you look better and be more confident. You got to look good to play good.
Yeah, you do.
Right? Bengals aren't winning unless they're wearing the all white.
God, those are crispy.
God, so crispy.
Crispy.
So crispy. And Indochino has from business casual, dress shirts, camp shirts, and even blazers. They got stuff you can wear to the law office and to the tailgate. The versatility is off the charts. It's a true RPO situation. We've all ordered suits. The ordering process was unbelievably easy, but it's not just suits. It's not just shirts. They have high-end stuff at affordable prices. Now you can look great at every event. So add fresh layers to your fall style with Indochino. Go to INDOCHINO.com and use our code BOOSTER to get 10% off any purchase $399 or more. That's INDOCHINO.com. Promo code BOOSTER. Get your wardrobe up.
For some reason, I don't think A&M beats their ass.
Well,
Beats them
here's
bad.
what typically happens in this game. Arkansas comes out, plays really well early, and then something nuts happens. You remember last year,
Yeah.
KJ Jefferson reaching over the pile to score a touchdown. The ball gets batted off a helmet into a defensive guy's hands. He runs 100 yards. That flips the game. My question is, how drained is Arkansas after last week?
KJ, man.
How drained is Arkansas after last week? You are getting Rocket Sanders back. I thought Dominion ran the ball really well. Not that they won't be excited to play, but physically, how are you, right? And we've looked at Arkansas up front, thought they held up, LSU's defense. There's some question marks in that secondary. How on both sides of the ball, how drained is Arkansas up front? A&M didn't play great last week on offense against Auburn. Obviously, we know Wegman's out, but I don't think they're nearly as emotionally drained as Arkansas is going into this game. Arkansas is trying to avoid 3 straight losses. So obviously you're backed in the corner. You're a wounded pig, for lack of a better term. But I mean, 6.5's a lot of points.
And this year, especially at home.
How about Duke?
No, yeah, that was going to be mine right there.
Plus 180. Go ahead. Talk
Duke
about
versus
it.
North Carolina. I mean,
5.5.
you got to think. I mean, this game is, first of all, this game is at Duke.
Yes.
Which is big. And Duke's just one of those teams. How does Notre Dame respond after that gut-wrenching?
They're old.
Gut-wrenching loss, which is good. You have Sam Harmon, brought in a lot of experience. But something about Duke. I mean, Riley Leonard, an absolute problem. Probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in college. Doesn't get talked enough. Their defense.
Our guy Jim Nagy
Physical.
told us at SEC Media Days, even though Duke's not in the SEC, remember, he said, it's Riley Leonard kid, I'm telling you.
Got a couple guys at receiver that can play. The Calhoun kid, the Moore kid. Duke has enough pieces, and this game is at home, to catch Notre Dame a little bit off guard, I think. And Duke's kind of been what throughout the year? Duke kind of starts fast.
Yeah.
If Duke starts fast against Notre Dame's not built. They're not built to just catch up. You saw that in the Ohio State game. They're not really ripping off chunk plays. Duke's been a chunk play team, and that's been surprising. So this game, what's it, 5.5?
The
5.5, 6.5?
5.5, the over-under's 52. I'll say this.
52.
David, last year Duke shocked everybody with what they did with what Mike Elko did in year one. And coming into this year, and even we talked about it, and I think it was the right way to look at it. All right, Duke's not going to sneak up on anybody anymore.
No.
The schedule is harder, and there's no way that they can replicate winning the turnover battle and catch the breaks that they caught again. That just doesn't happen in football. Well, we're sitting here right now in week 5, and Duke is winning the turnover battle like they did last year. The schedule has been harder. They're still undefeated, and they're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. But I'll say this, having said all that, they still have to catch some breaks to win this game.
Yeah.
You go back to the Clemson game. A lot of wonky stuff happened. Now, Duke forced it. They forced the action. I'm going to give them credit for that. I don't think Notre Dame is going to turn the ball over like Clemson did. I don't think Notre Dame, who is more athletic in the back end now than they have been in a while, is going to give up those chunk plays to Duke like they thrive off of. Not saying that Duke has a chance to win this game. This may be the biggest game in Duke football history, to be honest with you, if you really go back and look at it. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest. But you have an old head in Sam Hartman. You have an old offensive line. You've got a run game and a tight end group that you can always count on, and you can limit the other team's possessions. And I think Notre Dame, despite what happened at the end of the Ohio State game, is damn good on defense.
Yeah.
I don't think this is one that Notre Dame right now, it's not a dream crusher spot because you still got a chance. But you can't lose this one and still have a chance. So they're going to come ready to play. I think they're embarrassed about what happened last week. I love the under in this game.
52.5?
No, it's at 52 right now. I love the under. This may end up being, and I told myself I am not going to touch this with a show bet. But the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning toward taking the under.
I like it too. I like it too.
Because I think Mike Elko can come up with a really good plan. But outside of that, I do want to move on. If there's some upsets that you guys have that maybe we didn't cover, I don't think Bama's losing to Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State just in a very good football team, from a complimentary standpoint. I mean, outside of that, Ole Miss is only a 2.5-point underdog at home. That's a game I don't trust Ole Miss. We talked about it yesterday with Chris Marler, if you want to check that out too. Hey, YouTube, thanks for stopping by. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that. We just hit over 100,000. Now we want 100,000 trillion. And also hit that like button. Turn that notification bell on. We appreciate it.